A fragile peace shattered. The galaxy had always been a place of diversity, with different species living in their own corners, trying to maintain their own peace. Over the centuries, humanity had earned its place among the stars, not through dominance or conquest, but through diplomacy, trade, and cooperation. They had built strong alliances, forging relationships with species far more powerful than themselves. Humanity had become a beacon of hope in a galaxy full of conflicts and war. Yet in this quiet peace, something dark began to stir. A new threat, one unlike any before, slowly emerged from the uncharted depths of space. It started with whispers, stories of a mysterious empire growing in the dark reaches of the galaxy. No one knew its true name, and no one knew its origins, but its power was undeniable. The first signs came in the form of strange signals, intercepted by the most advanced surveillance systems, but their meaning was unclear. Ships went missing in space, their last transmissions full of panic and fear. The galaxy's leaders, once confident in their security, could only watch in horror as their carefully constructed peace began to crumble. Humanity, which had once played the role of peacekeepers, found themselves suddenly caught in the middle. Their borders, once safe, now faced an unknown enemy. The alliance they had worked so hard to maintain was showing signs of weakness. Fear spread like wildfire across every planet. Rumors began to circulate that this new empire was not interested in peace. They were here to conquer. The first human fleet, sent to investigate the strange disturbances, never returned. It was a loss that sent shockwaves through humanity. Their warriors, trained in both peacekeeping and defense, had met their end without a trace. No debris, no survivors, just silence. The leaders of humanity began to wonder what had happened to them. Who, or what, could have taken down such an experienced force without a single sign of struggle? The Council of Galactic Leaders met in a hurry, summoning representatives from every corner of the galaxy. As the various species gathered to discuss the growing threat, the tension was palpable. The once proud, peaceful alliance now found itself unsure of how to respond. Some spoke of diplomacy, hoping the unknown empire would see reason, but there were few among the council who believed that peace could still be an option. It was at this moment that a bold decision was made. Humanity's leaders, weary of the council's indecision, took matters into their own hands. It was time for them to act. They announced that humanity would no longer abide by the Treaty of Non-Aggression. They would no longer wait for a diplomat to save them. Humanity would fight to protect their people, their future, and their place in the galaxy. This was a declaration not just of war, but of something much more dangerous, a complete shift in their worldview. For centuries, humanity had maintained a stance of nonviolence, believing that diplomacy and reason would always win the day. But as the reality of the situation set in, they realized that the galaxy had underestimated their strength. It wasn't just a matter of survival anymore. Humanity was prepared to take whatever steps necessary to protect themselves, even if it meant abandoning the peaceful ways that had defined them for so long. The announcement sent waves through the galaxy. Some species feared what humanity would do next. Others, shocked by the sudden decision, wondered if humanity had lost its mind. But there were some who saw opportunity in this new direction. The galaxy's delicate peace, built over centuries, was now in jeopardy, and all eyes turned to humanity to see what their next move would be. In the heart of humanity's military command, a new general was put in charge. His name was Commander Rylan Holt, a man who had spent his entire career ensuring peace. Now his task was different. He was no longer a peacemaker, but a war strategist. The responsibility weighed heavily on him, but his resolve was unshakable. He knew that the galaxy was at a crossroads. Humanity could not afford to be passive anymore. It was a time to make a stand, and if the galaxy would not defend peace, humanity would. But as Commander Holt prepared his forces, he couldn't shake the nagging question. Had they made the right choice? The peaceful path had always been their strength. Yet now, the galaxy was changing, and so must humanity. Could they really abandon their ideals, or would this decision lead to their downfall? As Holt stood before the gathered fleet, he could feel the weight of history on his shoulders. The galaxy, once so certain of its future, was now on the brink of something new and dangerous. The moment had arrived. Humanity was about to prove that they were no longer just a peaceful race. They were a force to be reckoned with. The first mission was set. Humanity's military forces would strike first. It wasn't a full-scale war yet, but it was a message. The empire that threatened them, unknown and feared, was about to know the true power of humanity. The galaxy would soon learn that there was more to humanity than peace. There was strength, and there was the will to fight for survival. As the fleet launched into the stars, a new era began. The galaxy's fragile peace was shattered, and for the first time in centuries, fear gripped the hearts of all who watched humanity's rise. A call for action. Humanity's declaration of war rippled throughout the galaxy like a shockwave. The peaceful alliances, once proud and united, began to tremble as they struggled to grasp the enormity of the decision. For centuries, humanity had been the galaxy's example of diplomacy and peaceful coexistence, but now they had chosen a path few had expected. The galaxy was left in a state of confusion, not knowing whether to fear or admire this sudden change in direction. As the news spread, representatives from all corners of the galaxy rushed to meet in the council chambers. The once stable alliance now appeared fragile, its foundation shaking with each passing moment. The council's leaders, unsure of what to do next, tried to push for a diplomatic response, but their voices seemed smaller, weaker against the backdrop of humanity's decisive move. Some of the more aggressive species, those who had always believed that peace was a fleeting illusion, saw this as an opportunity to reshape the galaxy's future. While the council debated, humanity's military began to mobilize. Commander Rylan Holt stood at the helm, watching as the ships prepared to leave the safety of their home planets. The sight of hundreds of starships lining up, ready for war, was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The strength and resolve of humanity were undeniable, but Holt couldn't help but wonder if they were pushing too far. The galaxy had been accustomed to peaceful solutions, and now humanity was about to change everything. The first mission was simple enough. Send a message to the unknown empire. The galaxy's new threat had remained silent after humanity's declaration, but that didn't mean they were waiting to be attacked. The longer the silence dragged on, the more terrifying the unknown became. It was time to act, and humanity was ready to show its strength. The first strike was not intended to be a full-on battle, but a demonstration of power. The fleet of humanity's finest ships entered the space just outside the unknown empire's borders, sending a clear signal. Humanity was no longer the peaceful race they once were. The fleet's approach was silent at first, their stealth technology hiding them from prying eyes. The anticipation hung heavy in the air. The galaxy watched, unsure of what would happen next. On board Commander Holt's flagship, tension was palpable. The crew, once trained for peacekeeping operations, now found themselves preparing for something far different. There was a palpable sense of fear. Fear of the unknown empire. Fear of what humanity's actions would mean for their place in the galaxy. They were not just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for the future of humanity itself. Holt knew the stakes were high. If humanity failed here, their reputation would be shattered, and the galaxy would forever see them as a brutal, warring species. But if they succeeded, humanity could forever change the course of galactic history. As the fleet approached the Empire's uncharted territory, the unknown forces began to stir. It was then that humanity got their first taste of the power they were up against. Massive warships appeared from the dark reaches of space, their engines humming ominously. They were unlike anything humanity had seen before, sleek, deadly, and menacing. The unknown empire had clearly been preparing for something like this, and now the galaxy would finally get a glimpse of the force that had been hidden for so long. The two forces collided in the cold, vast expanse of space, and the battle began. Humanity's ships fired with precision, their weapons designed to pierce even the toughest of armor. The unknown empire fought back fiercely, showing that they were no strangers to war. It was a brutal, high-stakes encounter, but humanity held their ground. They were not going to be intimidated. As the battle raged, Commander Holt received a message, one that would change everything. The unknown empire was not just fighting for survival. They were fighting to establish a new order, one where peace was a distant memory, and only the strongest would thrive. This revelation sent a chill down Holt's spine. The unknown empire didn't just want to conquer humanity. They wanted to reshape the galaxy entirely, wiping away the fragile peace that had existed for so long. This was no longer just a battle for survival. Humanity was now caught in the middle of a galactic war for dominance. The Empire's forces were vast, and their technology was advanced. But humanity had something they didn't: determination. The first wave of humanity's fleet struck hard, forcing the unknown empire to retreat temporarily. But it was clear that this was just the beginning. The true scale of the war had only just begun to unfold. The galaxy watched as humanity made its first move in this new chapter of history. Some feared that humanity had bitten off more than they could chew, while others saw a glimmer of hope. Could humanity's strength tip the scales in their favor, or would they be crushed under the weight of the galaxy's changing dynamics? The stakes were higher than ever, and the future of the galaxy seemed uncertain. Commander Holt stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring into the vastness of space, knowing that the galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had made their choice, and there was no turning back now. The unknown empire had been warned. But would they listen, or would they retaliate with even greater force? Only time would tell, and the galaxy waited with bated breath. The first clash, the battle between humanity and the unknown empire, was only the beginning. Humanity had made its first decisive move, but the empire was not so easily deterred. After the initial strike, the unknown empire retreated into the shadows, seemingly vanishing into the void. For a brief moment, the galaxy believed that humanity had won a small victory. However, this was far from over. The empire was just regrouping, preparing for a response that would send a clear message to the entire galaxy. Humanity, still reeling from the first taste of conflict, did not rest. The fleet, under Commander Holt's leadership, continued to patrol the border, keeping an eye out for any signs of aggression. Every ship in the fleet was on high alert, knowing that the next attack could be devastating. The unknown empire's tactics were elusive, and it seemed like they were always one step ahead. The galaxy was on the edge, unsure of how this war would unfold. The second strike came without warning. One day, as the fleet patrolled the galaxy's outer rim, a massive surge of energy lit up the space around them. The enemy had returned, but this time they were ready for a full-scale engagement. The unknown empire had gathered a fleet larger than anyone had imagined, with ships that appeared out of nowhere, their weapons glowing brightly with an unnatural power. The empire was not just an enemy. They were a force to be reckoned with, an unstoppable storm of war. Commander Holt immediately ordered his fleet to engage, but the battle was unlike anything they had prepared for. The unknown empire's ships were not just advanced. They were designed to counter everything humanity had. Their weapons fired with precision, tearing through the human ships with ease. Despite humanity's best efforts, the empire seemed invincible. The ships that once represented humanity's strength now struggled to hold their ground. The sound of explosions and alarms filled the bridge of Holt's flagship as the battle raged on. Holt's heart pounded as he watched his fleet fight for survival. The humans were brave, but they were clearly outmatched. It became painfully clear that the galaxy's peace had been shattered, and there was no turning back. Humanity's fate now hung in the balance. Yet, despite the odds, humanity's resolve did not waver. The fleet fought back with every ounce of strength they had. They deployed weapons designed for this moment, advanced artillery and energy shields that tested the limits of the Empire's defenses. Humanity was no longer a peaceful race. they had become a force to be reckoned with. The battle stretched on for hours, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. The galaxy watched in awe as humanity proved that they were not just survivors, they were fighters. They fought for every inch of space, for every last ship. The unknown Empire's ships, while powerful, could not outlast humanity's unyielding spirit. It was a war of attrition, and humanity was showing that they would not fall without a fight. Just as the Empire seemed to gain the upper hand, a new development changed the course of the battle. A group of human ships, using the element of surprise, launched a surprise attack from the dark side of a nearby moon. The Empire's fleet, still regrouping, was caught off guard. The human ships fired relentlessly, taking out several key enemy vessels. For the first time, humanity was on the offensive. The unknown Empire, stunned by the sudden shift in momentum, began to retreat. Commander Holt's face lit up with hope as the enemy fleet faltered. He knew that this victory, though small, was a turning point. Humanity had shown the galaxy that they were not afraid of this new empire. They had faced their first true clash and emerged stronger than expected. The unknown empire had learned that humanity would not be easily broken, and the galaxy had seen the potential of the human race. However, Holt also knew that this was just the beginning. The unknown empire had retreated, but they would return, and next time, they would be ready. Humanity had won the first round, but the war was far from over. The fear that had gripped the galaxy only intensified with each passing moment. What else would the Empire unleash in their bid for domination? The galaxy now found itself at a crossroads. Some species, having witnessed humanity's resilience, began to question their own positions. Would they stand by humanity in the face of the Empire's wrath, or would they retreat into their own corners, hoping to avoid the conflict? The uncertainty was palpable, and the fate of the galaxy seemed even more uncertain. For humanity, however, the first clash had solidified one truth. They were no longer a race of peacekeepers. They were fighters, warriors who would stop at nothing to protect their own. The stakes had never been higher, and the galaxy was about to witness what humanity was truly capable of. The unknown empire might have retreated for now, but they had sent a clear message. This war was only beginning, and humanity, unwilling to back down, was ready to face whatever came next. Reactions from the galaxy. The news of humanity's bold actions spread quickly across the galaxy. The first major clash had been a shock to the galaxy's peacekeepers, politicians, and warriors alike. Humanity's aggressive stance left many uncertain of their future place in this vast, interconnected universe. Fear, admiration, and confusion rippled through the ranks of the galaxy's species, and each reaction varied greatly. For some, it was a wake-up call. The peaceful coexistence they had enjoyed for centuries suddenly felt fragile. The galaxy had relied on a delicate balance, and humanity's choice to abandon it was a disruption none had anticipated. The alliance that had once seemed unbreakable now showed signs of fracture. Some species, previously skeptical of humanity's peaceful resolve, began to question their own reliance on diplomacy. They wondered if humanity was right. Was war the only way to survive in a galaxy increasingly filled with dangerous unknowns? The Council, divided and uncertain, convened once more. As representatives of each species filed into the chamber, there was a sense of unease in the air. The once united council was now filled with whispers and heated debates. There were those who feared humanity's decision, those who believed that abandoning peace would lead the galaxy into a dark era of war. Yet, others saw opportunity in humanity's actions. The galaxy had long been dominated by the powerful empires that ruled through fear and force. Humanity, by turning to military strength, had shown a different kind of resolve. They were no longer the peaceful race of diplomats and negotiators, but a race willing to fight for their survival. For some, this made humanity a symbol of strength and resilience. The first reaction came from the Zorith, a warrior race known for their brutal combat tactics. They had always been more aligned with strength than peace, and their leaders saw humanity's shift as a sign of respect. If humanity is willing to fight, perhaps it is time for us to consider them as allies, not just mediators, said General Korek, the head of the Zoreth Military Council. His words were met with nods of agreement. In this light, humanity's decision was not only a challenge to the Empire, but a challenge to the long-standing diplomatic ties that had once defined the galaxy. The Zoreth were ready to form a new alliance, one based on military strength, and they were eager to see how humanity would rise in the coming days. On the other side of the spectrum, the peaceful Archai, a race known for their delicate diplomacy, trembled at the thought of war. Their leaders were horrified by humanity's decision, fearing it would escalate the violence in the galaxy to unthinkable levels. Humanity's shift from peace to war will bring nothing but ruin, stated High Counselor Ilara of the Archai. Her voice shook as she addressed the council. The Empire is a threat, yes, but war is never the answer. Humanity's actions will cause irreparable damage to the fabric of our galaxy. The Archai pushed for a return to diplomacy, calling for a united front of peaceful negotiation with the unknown empire. But as they spoke, the reality of the situation became clearer. Peace may no longer be an option. The galaxy was changing, and not all species were ready to face it. The Althrians, a technologically advanced species, were more practical in their approach. They saw humanity's military strength as something to be respected, but they were cautious about making any alliances too quickly. The Althrians had always valued science and innovation above all else, and they believed that technological advancements were the key to survival. They issued a statement: humanity's strength lies not just in their will to fight, but in their ability to adapt and innovate. If they are truly committed to this path, perhaps they will need our expertise. The Althrians were not eager to join the fight immediately, but they were open to providing humanity with the tools and knowledge necessary to advance in the coming war. However, they'd made it clear that their alliance would not come without careful consideration. Meanwhile, the Kruleks, a war-hungry race with a long history of conquest, watched humanity's rise with a more predatory gaze. The Kruleks had always believed in the survival of the fittest, and humanity's willingness to embrace war made them both dangerous and fascinating. Humanity is not just a peaceful race anymore, said Krulek Supreme Commander Droger. They are now the strongest threat to our way of life. It is time we begin to think about their place in the galaxy, and how we will make them our allies, or our enemies. The Kruleks, like many others, knew that humanity was no longer a soft target. The shift in their behavior could either be an opportunity or a grave danger, depending on how they were approached. Back in humanity's command centers, the mood was mixed. Commander Holt stood at the forefront of the charge, feeling the weight of his people's decision. He had known that there would be consequences, but seeing the galaxy react with both fear and admiration brought the reality of their new role into sharp focus. Humanity had chosen war to defend its place in the galaxy, and now it was time to prove that they could stand on their own. Holt knew that this would be a long and difficult journey. While some species were ready to stand with humanity, others would only see them as a threat. As the galaxy fractured into factions, humanity's future seemed more uncertain than ever. But one thing was clear: the galaxy would never view humanity the same way again. No longer the gentle diplomats or peacekeepers, humanity was now a rising force, ready to reshape the galaxy's future. Whether they were seen as saviors or conquerors, humanity's path was one of undeniable power, and it would be felt by every species in the galaxy. The true power of humanity. The war had begun, and humanity's resolve was being tested at every turn. The galaxy had watched as humanity, once defined by diplomacy and peace, shifted to become a militarized force, wielding power that no one had anticipated. The unknown empire had already learned not to underestimate humanity, but now the galaxy was seeing just how deep the human resolve ran. After the first clash, humanity's forces began to grow stronger. With every battle fought, humanity adapted, their tactics evolving in real time. Commander Holt, who had once been a symbol of peaceful negotiation, had now become a master strategist. His methods, shaped by the brutal lessons of the first encounters, were no longer about maintaining peace. They were about ensuring humanity's survival and dominance. The Empire had underestimated humanity's ability to adapt to warfare. Unlike other species who had been bred for combat, humanity's ingenuity and quick learning allowed them to outmaneuver the unknown Empire's forces. Humanity didn't rely on brute strength alone. They relied on technology, strategy, and the element of surprise. With each skirmish, their ships became faster, their weapons more powerful, and their tactics more unpredictable. The turning point came when humanity's scientists revealed a new weapon, something that could shift the tide of the war. They had developed a quantum disruptor, a device capable of disabling enemy ships by warping the space around them. It was a technological marvel, and its power was unparalleled. The unknown Empire had never seen anything like it, and it threw their forces into disarray. The disruptor didn't just destroy ships. It neutralized the enemy's ability to fight back, rendering their advanced technology useless. This weapon became humanity's trump card, and it gave them the upper hand in the conflict. But humanity's true strength wasn't just in their weapons. It was in their unity. The war had united them in a way that few had anticipated. Different factions, once isolated by their own interests, now worked together toward a common goal. The human alliance became a beacon of hope to those who had once doubted them, and even some of the more neutral species in the galaxy began to take notice. Meanwhile, the Zoreth's view on humanity only grew more positive. General Korek, once cautious of humanity's motives, now saw them as allies, if not potential rulers of the galaxy. He believed that humanity had the strength to bring order to the chaos that had consumed the galaxy. The Empire has never faced an enemy like humanity, Korek stated, watching the reports of humanity's victories with approval. They are ruthless, but they are also strategic. They will win this war, and they will reshape the galaxy in their image. This is the moment we have all been waiting for. The Krulax, too, began to shift their stance, watching closely as humanity's power grew. Although they remained warlike and focused on their own survival, they saw in humanity a fellow warrior race. Humanity fights with honor, Supreme Commander Droger remarked. If they are to be a threat, we will not shy away. If they are to be allies, they will know that we respect power above all else. However, it was the Althrians, the most technologically advanced race in the galaxy, who saw the true potential of humanity's power. They had been hesitant to engage, preferring their scientific advancements over warfare, but they were now eager to collaborate with humanity. They saw that humanity's technological prowess was advancing rapidly, and if they could align themselves with such an innovative species, the galaxy could benefit. The Althrians extended an olive branch, offering resources, knowledge, and advanced tech in exchange for humanity's assistance in a broader alliance. This was the first time in the history of the galaxy that humanity's reputation had shifted from a peaceful race to a powerful technological and military force. But Commander Holt knew that this shift, while advantageous, was dangerous. Humanity was now seen as both a potential ally and a force to be feared. The galaxy was watching closely, and humanity's every action would have lasting consequences. Holt understood that they were no longer fighting just for survival. They were fighting for the future of humanity's place in the galaxy. As humanity advanced, the unknown empire did not remain passive. They regrouped, analyzed humanity's tactics, and adjusted their strategies. The war was far from over. Humanity's new weapons and technological superiority had given them an edge, but the Empire was relentless. They had lost a battle, but they had not lost the war. The next phase of the conflict would be even more brutal, as both sides prepared for the decisive clash that could determine the fate of the galaxy. Humanity's true power was now clear. They had not only the strength to fight, but the will to adapt and evolve with every challenge. The galaxy would soon understand that humanity was no longer just a peaceful species. They were a new force to be reckoned with, strong, strategic, and unyielding. The unknown empire had no idea what it had just unleashed, and the galaxy was on the precipice of a new era, a galaxy on the brink. The war had escalated, and the galaxy found itself teetering on the edge of a precipice. Humanity, once seen as a peaceful race, was now leading a full-scale war against the unknown empire, and their resolve had not faltered. Yet this new reality was proving to be far more complicated than anyone had anticipated. With each passing day, the battlefronts grew larger and the stakes higher. Humanity's forces continued to advance, pushing back the Empire's borders inch by inch, but the unknown empire was far from broken. Their tactics, once seen as unbeatable, had adapted and evolved. The Empire, though wounded, now unleashed new strategies and weapons designed to counter humanity's advantage. Commander Holt could feel the tension mounting. As his fleet moved deeper into enemy space, they encountered more advanced defenses, more traps, and more traps set to slow their momentum. The longer humanity fought, the clearer it became. This was no longer a conflict of just two powers. The entire galaxy was now on the brink of war. As humanity made gains, the other species of the galaxy watched closely. Some had allied themselves with humanity, seeing them as the force capable of defeating the Empire and restoring order. The Zoreth, for example, had now sent their own forces to aid humanity's war effort. They had witnessed humanity's fierce determination firsthand and believed that only through force could peace be restored. They were no longer concerned about humanity's potential for aggression. They had come to respect their power. Yet others, like the Archai, remained fiercely opposed. They could not, and would not, support a war that could lead to the galaxy's destruction. Their leaders now began to call for a ceasefire and sought any means of diplomatic resolution. But Holt, standing firm in his belief that humanity was in this to win, knew that there would be no peace without first conquering the unknown empire. Their dark influence had to be eradicated for the galaxy to have any chance at true stability. The Krulax, who had initially observed humanity with caution, now moved closer to the war effort. Though their nature was inherently aggressive, they saw humanity as an ally who could help them expand their influence. The Krulax were pragmatic, and they respected strength. They knew that they couldn't afford to stay neutral in this battle. If humanity emerged victorious, they would be on the winning side. But amid these shifting alliances and ever-growing tensions, something darker was stirring. The unknown empire, despite its losses, was not a simple enemy to defeat. The more humanity pushed, the more the empire seemed to dig in its heels. In a surprise move, the empire unveiled a new weapon, a super weapon capable of destroying entire planets. Humanity's leadership was stunned. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. The unknown empire's new weapon was not just a threat. It was a weapon of mass destruction. They had tested it on a small moon, erasing it from existence in a matter of seconds. The destruction was complete, and the message was clear. The Empire was not going to lose this war easily. News of the weapon spread like wildfire through the galaxy, and for the first time, even those species that had aligned with humanity began to waver. What had once been a battle between two forces now seemed like an existential struggle for the survival of the galaxy itself. The stakes had been raised to a level no one had anticipated. Would humanity be able to stop the Empire before they unleashed this weapon on a galactic scale? Could they really win this war and reshape the galaxy without losing everything in the process? Humanity's military leaders, including Commander Holt, now faced an impossible decision. Holt's fleet had already lost countless ships, and the Empire's forces were relentless. The unknown Empire was willing to destroy entire worlds to assert their dominance, and humanity could not afford to sit back any longer. In a war council held on humanity's flagship, Holt and his advisors discussed the only option left: a full-scale assault on the Empire's capital. The risk was unprecedented. The Empire's capital was heavily fortified, its defenses nearly impenetrable. But Holt knew that the war could not continue indefinitely. The galaxy was being torn apart, and humanity was at the center of the storm. The decision was made. Humanity's forces would go after the heart of the Empire. Every fleet, every ship, and every weapon humanity had would be mobilized for this final push. It was their last chance. The galaxy watched as humanity prepared for what could either be the beginning of the end or the start of a new era. As humanity's forces assembled for the assault, Holt stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking out into the vast expanse of space. The weight of what they were about to do pressed heavily on him. If they failed, it would mean the end of humanity's place in the galaxy. But if they succeeded, they could end the war and reshape the future of the galaxy forever. The fate of the galaxy rested on this one decision. Humanity had already shown that they were no longer the peaceful race they once were. They were warriors now, prepared to fight for survival at any cost. As the fleet made its way toward the Empire's capital, a dark cloud of uncertainty hung over them. Would humanity be able to overcome the Empire's might, or would this final confrontation be their undoing? The galaxy had never been on the brink of such destruction, but in the chaos, humanity had found its true power, and now it was time to face what would either be their ultimate triumph or their tragic downfall. The final decision. The vast expanse of space lay before Commander Holt as his fleet, humanity's finest, approached the heart of the unknown empire. The time for uncertainty was over. This was the final confrontation, the decisive battle that would determine the fate of the galaxy. Holt knew that this mission could either secure humanity's place as the new dominant force or lead to their complete destruction. The unknown empire's capital was a fortress, heavily guarded and protected by the most advanced weaponry in the galaxy. Humanity had already suffered massive losses in the previous battles, but this mission was different. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about victory. Holt and his fleet were tasked with taking down the Empire's core, dismantling their ability to wage war once and for all. But as the final battle approached, Holt found himself standing at a crossroads. The galaxy had watched as humanity transformed from a peaceful race into a military powerhouse. Allies had rallied to their side, while others had fallen back, uncertain of what the future would hold. The Archive still begged for peace, warning that total annihilation would bring nothing but ruin, but humanity's resolve had hardened. The question now was no longer whether they could win. It was what kind of galaxy they would leave behind once the dust settled. Humanity's first strike on the Empire's capital came swiftly. The fleet unleashed its full might, weapons blazing, pushing through the Empire's defenses with precision. The Empire responded with overwhelming force, using every weapon at their disposal to protect their seat of power. The battle raged on, stars lighting up like fireworks in the sky as ships collided, trading blows in a deadly dance. Holt led the charge, his flagship cutting through the chaos, but the real danger lay beyond the battlefield. The Empire's superweapon, capable of destroying entire planets, was positioned at the heart of their capital. Humanity had to disable it before it could be used. The clock was ticking. As Holt's forces pressed forward, a horrifying realization struck him. The superweapon wasn't just a tool of destruction. It was a symbol of the Empire's ideology. The unknown Empire's leaders had used their power to instill fear and control, believing that dominance could only be maintained through sheer force. Holt had come to see this empire not just as a military threat, but as a tyrannical force that sought to stamp out freedom and peace for the entire galaxy. Humanity, having embraced war as a necessity, now faced a choice more profound than any before. The superweapon's power was undeniable. If humanity succeeded in destroying it, they could end the war and force the Empire into surrender. But the cost was unimaginable. The capital and perhaps entire systems would be destroyed in the process. Thousands, if not millions, would die. The choice seemed simple: destroy the weapon, defeat the Empire, and end the war once and for all. But Holt hesitated. For the first time since the war had begun, Holt considered the true consequences of their actions. If they destroyed the capital, what would they be leaving behind? The galaxy would be shaped by their choice. by their ability to destroy or their ability to rebuild. Humanity had fought for survival, but in doing so, they had become something else. Were they now just another empire, seeking to impose their will on others? Or could they be something different? Could they rebuild a galaxy torn apart by violence and fear? As Holt stared at the superweapons targeting system, his mind raced. He had been trained for war, but this was not just a battle. It was the future of the galaxy at stake. Humanity's resilience, their strength, their determination to fight had brought them to this point. But Holt realized that true power didn't lie in their ability to destroy. It lay in their ability to make a different choice. In that moment, Holt made a decision. He couldn't destroy the weapon, not just for the sake of humanity, but for the future of the galaxy. He ordered his forces to target the weapon's core, but with a different purpose in mind: to neutralize it, not obliterate it. Humanity could not afford to repeat the mistakes of the Empire. If they wanted to shape the galaxy's future, they had to show that there was another way. The battle intensified as Holt's fleet pushed deeper into the capital. Humanity's soldiers fought with unparalleled courage, pushing the enemy back with every shot. In a final, desperate push, Holt and his team boarded the Empire's central command ship, where the superweapon was housed. With precise calculations and careful planning, they disabled the weapon's core, rendering it useless. The Empire's power was broken. As the capital's defenses collapsed, the unknown Empire's leaders were forced to surrender. The galaxy, once on the brink of total destruction, began to heal. The war was over, and humanity had emerged victorious, not through total annihilation, but through strength tempered by wisdom. Holt's decision had changed everything. Humanity's victory wasn't just about defeating an empire. It was about choosing a path forward that could reshape the galaxy for the better. The galaxy watched as humanity stood at the crossroads of a new era. Commander Holt and his forces had proven that strength alone wasn't enough to win the future. Humanity's true victory lay in their ability to choose a path of redemption and peace, one that would define their legacy in the stars. The galaxy had learned one crucial lesson. Humanity had the power to destroy, but they also had the power to rebuild. The galaxy watched as humanity stood at the crossroads of a new era. Commander Holt and his forces had proven that strength alone wasn't enough to win the future. Humanity's true victory lay in their ability to choose a path of redemption and peace, one that would define their legacy in the stars. The galaxy had learned one crucial lesson. Humanity had the power to destroy, but they also had the power to rebuild. As humanity's fleet returned to their home systems, the stars seemed a little brighter, a little less dark. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity had earned its place in the galaxy, not as a force of destruction, but as a beacon of hope for the future. And as they looked to the stars, humanity knew that their journey was far from over. The galaxy had been reshaped, and now it was time for them to rebuild, one peaceful, determined step at a time.